So let's talk about function modeling basics, and let's stop coming up with solutions right now and look back to see what some of the guidelines are for coming up with functions. A function is a statement of a clear, reproducible relationship between the available input and the desired output. Now that's pretty important to understand that, because a function actually connects some input to some output. It takes some input information or input material or input energy and converts it somehow into something that's the output. So for a stapler, if one of the functions is push staple, it's taking the input, which is a staple, and creating bound together pages. It creates from a staple and paper, it creates a set of stapled bound together pages. So a function in that case takes some input and creates a different output. And that's always the case. Always the case, a function takes input and creates output from it. So product function is the overall intended function of the product. That means there is a high-level function for any product. A coffee maker function is to make coffee. A stapler function is to bind paper. A car is to transport occupants or cargo. So there is a main overall function for any product. The point we want to make is you have to start with that function, and you subdivide that into individual functions, and actually the more the better. Here's an example of a function model of a cell phone. This takes, on the left-hand side are the inputs, on the right-hand side are the outputs, and the functions are in the middle in green, pink, blue, and white. If we look at one on the left, which says incoming text, it's about halfway down, we follow that line over, and incoming text, we capture radio waves. We then follow out of capture radios to convert signals to sound image. Then we transmit radio waves, and the output is outgoing wireless signal. This next function model is one I really like because it's one that I want you to use, and we want you to use in Mini Project 2. It's called a hierarchical function model. You start with the overall function of the product, and so right here we have coffee maker. Make coffee is the overall function, and making coffee can be subdivided into two functions: extracting coffee from coffee grounds and also keeping the coffee warm. Extracting coffee can be subdivided into several functions: warm the water, move the water, mix the water and ground coffee, and remove the ground coffee and collect the coffee. Coffee maker keeping the coffee warm can be subdivided into transforming electricity to heat and transferring that heat to the pot. So this is a nice model because it's easier to come up with functions, because every time you arrive at a new function like extract coffee, you think to yourself, what functions go together to extract coffee? And if you think about it for a while and get used to this method and sort of think in function modeling language, it's pretty easy to come up with a function model. Nice thing about a function model technique is that sometimes you can concentrate on specific functions to create a very innovative product that no one has ever thought of before, and you can take the market by storm. So if we look at the basket, which is moving the water, mixing the water and ground coffee, and removing the ground coffee, a company called Keurig came up with a way to do that no one had ever thought of before. And they have these little cups here, which are called K-cups, Keurig cups. And you pop one of these in the basket at the top and push the button, and it dispenses just enough water that goes through the coffee and produces a cup of coffee. When you're all done with that cup of coffee, you take this out and you throw it away or recycle it. This keeps coffee fresh because it's airtight, and it's packed with nitrogen actually, so that the coffee doesn't oxidize or get stale.